There are foods I ate every single day for 70 years, and foods I never touched, not even once. People think that's extreme. They ask me why I avoided certain things, but they never ask why I kept eating the same plants over and over again. That question interests me more. I am 98 years old. My skin confused a dermatologist last year. She asked if I had work done. I told her no. She asked what products I used. I said none. She looked at my records, then back at my face, and didn't say anything for a while. Then she asked if I'd be willing to let her students examine me. I said yes. 6 medical students came into that room and studied my skin under lights. They measured elasticity. They checked for sun damage. They took notes. And when they were done, one of them asked me the same question everyone asks: "What's your secret?" I told them the truth. I ate plants, the same plants, for decades. I rubbed plants on my skin. I drank plants in my water. I didn't do it because I read about it in a magazine. I did it because that's what my grandmother did. And her skin at 79 looked better than most people's at 50. I grew up in a village where we didn't have choices the way people do now. We didn't walk into a store and pick between 30 types of face cream. We had what grew around us, and we trusted it, not because we were spiritual or wise, but because it was all we had. And it worked. My grandmother raised me after my mother died young. She was a small woman with strong hands and smooth skin. Everyone noticed her skin. Even the men. It wasn't tight like rubber. It wasn't shiny like oil. It was just even, soft. It moved when she smiled, but it didn't wrinkle the way other women's faces did. She had lines, yes, but they were gentle. They didn't carve into her face. They rested there, did. She never talked about beauty. She talked about health. She said, your skin shows what's happening inside your body. If your skin is sick, something inside is sick. If your skin is calm, your body is calm. She didn't use lotions. She used plants. And she taught me to do the same. There were 7 plants she returned to, again and again, not randomly, not because they were trendy, but because they did something real, something she could see. And over time, I saw it too. The first was aloe vera. We had it growing everywhere, in pots, in the ground, near the well. My grandmother broke off a leaf almost every night before bed. She split it open with her thumbnail and scooped out the gel with 2 fingers. It was cold and thick and clear, like something between water and jelly. She rubbed it on her face, her neck, her hands. She didn't rub hard. She just pressed it in gently and let it sit. She told me aloe was the skin's best friend. It didn't add anything the skin didn't need. It just calmed things down, cooled things off. If you burned yourself in the sun, aloe fixed it. If your skin was dry and rough, aloe softened it. If you had small cuts or scrapes, aloe closed them faster. It didn't sting. It didn't smell. It just worked. I started using it when I was 11. At first, I only used it when my skin felt tight or sore. But my grandmother told me to use it every night, whether I thought I needed it or not. She said prevention is easier than repair, so I did. I used it every night for the next 87 years. Now I know that scientists studied aloe and found it full of vitamins, enzymes, and amino acids. They found it helps skin retain moisture and repair itself. They put it in bottles and tubes and sold it in stores. But I still use the plant. I snap off a leaf from the pot on my windowsill, squeeze out the gel, and spread it on my face. It still feels the same as it did when I was a girl. The second plant was turmeric. My grandmother didn't use the powder you buy in stores. She used the fresh root. She dug it up from the ground, washed it, and ground it on a flat stone with a little water until it became a thick orange paste. Then she mixed it with yogurt or milk, sometimes honey, and spread it on her face like a mask. It stained her skin yellow. She didn't care. She sat outside while it dried, and when she rinsed it off, her face looked brighter, smoother, awake. She did this twice a week, every single week, for as long as I knew her, and she told me to do the same. I didn't understand why at first. I was young. I didn't think I needed it, but she said, "You don't wait until the roof leaks to fix it. You take care of it before the rain comes." So I started using turmeric masks when I was 15, and I never stopped. Turmeric didn't just make my skin glow, it kept it even. I never developed dark spots. I never had patches of discoloration. My complexion stayed uniform even as I aged. Even now, my skin tone is more even than my granddaughter's, and she's 32. Later, I learned that turmeric contains curcumin, a compound that reduces inflammation and protects skin from damage. Scientists put it in expensive creams now, but my grandmother used the root, freshly ground, mixed with simple things, and it worked better than anything I've seen in a store. The third plant was Neem. We had a Neem tree near the house. The leaves were bitter, so bitter you could barely chew them. But my grandmother boiled them in water and let the water cool. Then she used it to wash her face every morning. She said Neem kept the skin clean from the inside. It killed the things that caused infection and irritation. It kept breakouts away. It kept the skin smooth. I didn't like the smell at first. It was sharp, medicinal. But I trusted her, so I used it, and I noticed that my skin stayed clearer than the other girls in the village. They had rough patches, inflamed spots, uneven texture. I didn't. My skin stayed soft and calm. Neem has antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory properties. Scientists confirmed that decades later. Now they put Neem in soaps, shampoos, and face washes. But the Neem water we made from fresh leaves was stronger, purer, more direct. The fourth plant was rose, not the kind you buy in a flower shop, the wild roses that grew in tangles near the edge of the village. My grandmother picked the petals early in the morning, when they were still wet with dew. She put them in a clay pot with water and left them overnight. By morning, the water smelled like heaven. She poured it into a bottle and used it as a toner. After washing her face, she splashed the rose water on her skin. She didn't wipe it off. She let it dry naturally. She said it tightened the skin, kept it fresh, kept the pores small. I watched her do this every single day. I started doing it too, and I still do. Every morning after I wash my face, I pat on rose water. It feels cool, light. It doesn't leave a film. It just sinks in and makes my skin feel awake. My pores have stayed small my entire life. I don't have the large open pores I see on other people my age. I think the rose water is why. Now they sell rose water in fancy bottles in every beauty store, but it's not the same. It's diluted. It has preservatives. Ours was just petals and thyme. The fifth plant was sandalwood. This one was harder to come by. My grandmother had a small piece of sandalwood that she kept wrapped in cloth. Once a week she rubbed it on a flat stone with a little water until it became a smooth, creamy paste. She applied it to her face and neck and let it dry completely. It took a long time to dry, maybe 30 minutes. But when she washed it off, her skin looked brighter, tighter, calmer. She told me sandalwood pulled heat out of the skin. She said too much heat makes skin age faster. It makes it rough and dark and loose. Sandalwood cooled it down, kept it firm, kept it glowing. I didn't use sandalwood as often as the other plants because it was harder to find. But when I did, I followed her method exactly. I ground it on stone. I let it dry on my skin. I rinsed it off with cool water. And every time my skin felt softer, smoother, younger. Sandalwood has anti-inflammatory and astringent properties. It soothes irritated skin and tightens pores. Now they sell sandalwood powder and sandalwood-scented creams everywhere. But I still remember the smell of the real thing, ground fresh on stone. The sixth plant was cucumber, simple, ordinary. We grew them in the garden. My grandmother sliced them thin and laid them on her eyes and cheeks, especially after a long day working in the sun. She said cucumbers took away the puffiness, cooled down the skin, brought back the brightness. I thought it was too simple to work, but I tried it anyway, and it did work. My eyes stayed clear. The skin around them didn't sag or darken the way I saw happening to other women. Cucumbers became part of my routine. I used them twice a week, sometimes more if I was tired. Now I see cucumber in every eye cream, every face mask, every cooling gel. But we just used the vegetable itself, fresh, cold, sliced thin, and it worked perfectly. The 7th plant was fenugreek. My grandmother soaked fenugreek seeds in water overnight. In the morning, she ground them into a thick paste. Sometimes she mixed the paste with honey, sometimes with yogurt. She spread it on her face and let it sit for 20 minutes, then rinsed it off with warm water. She said fenugreek kept the skin firm, kept it from sagging, kept it from losing its shape. I didn't think much of it when I was young. I didn't worry about sagging. But as I got older, I noticed that my face didn't droop the way others did. My jawline stayed defined. My cheeks didn't hollow out. My neck didn't fold in on itself. Fenugreek is rich in antioxidants and compounds that support collagen production. Scientists discovered that later. My grandmother didn't know the science. She just knew it worked. And I trusted her. I used all 7 plants, not every day, not all at once, but regularly, steadily, over decades. I didn't do it to stay young. I did it because it was normal. It was part of my routine. It was what we did. And my skin aged differently because of it. It aged slowly, gently, without the sudden collapse I see in others. I've watched my friends age. I've watched their skin thin out, darken, sag, crease in deep lines. I've watched them buy creams and serums and treatments. I've watched them spend money trying to stop what's already happening. And I've wondered why no one ever taught them what my grandmother taught me. Because the plants we used weren't exotic. They weren't rare. They grew everywhere. They still do. But somewhere along the way, people stopped using them. They stopped trusting them. They started believing that youth had to come from a lab, that beauty had to be expensive, that skin could only be saved by science. But that's not true. Science didn't save my skin. Plants did. Patience did. Consistency did. I never used anti-aging creams. I never had Botox or fillers or peels. I never went to a dermatologist until last year, and that was only because my daughter insisted. I didn't avoid the sun completely, but I didn't worship it either. I just lived. I worked. I used what the earth gave me, and my skin responded. Now I see my grandchildren buying serums that cost more than I spent on food in a month. I see them getting injections, lasers, treatments. I see them fighting their skin, fighting time, fighting their own faces. And it makes me sad, because they're so afraid of aging that they've forgotten how to age well. Aging isn't the enemy. Aging is natural. It's supposed to happen, but it's not supposed to be violent. It's not supposed to be sudden. It's not supposed to hurt. My skin has lines. I have wrinkles around my eyes. I have folds near my mouth, but they're soft. They're part of my face. They don't define me, and they didn't appear overnight. They came slowly, gently, over decades. My skin aged with me, not against me. That's the part people miss. Your skin isn't separate from you. It's not something to control or fight or fix. It's part of your body. And if you treat your body well, your skin responds. If you feed it real things, it stays real. If you give it plants, it recognizes them. It knows what to do with them. But if you feed it chemicals, preservatives, synthetic compounds, it gets confused. It reacts. It breaks down. It ages faster. I didn't stay young. I'm not young. I'm 98, but I look like a well-kept 98. And I got here by not interfering, by not fighting, by not trying to outsmart my own body. I let my skin be skin. I fed it, I hydrated it, I protected it gently. I didn't demand that it stay 20 forever. I just asked it to age with dignity. And it did. That's what my grandmother taught me, not how to stay young, but how to age without falling apart, how to move through time without breaking, how to respect the body I was given. And maybe that's the real secret, not the plants themselves, though they helped, but the mindset behind them, the patience, the consistency, the belief that slow is better than fast, that natural is better than forced, that working with your body is better than working against it. I didn't fight time. I walked with it. And my skin shows that. I don't expect people to believe me. I don't expect them to stop buying creams or getting treatments. But I do hope that somewhere someone hears this and thinks, maybe I don't need to fight so hard. Maybe I can just take care of myself. Maybe the answer is simpler than I thought. Because it is. It always was. The earth gave us everything we needed. We just forgot how to use it. I didn't try to stay young. I just didn't interfere. And maybe that's all aging ever needed. A little respect, a little patience, and 7 plants that knew what to do.